Hello and a very warm welcome on ESPN Cricket Info Match Day. It's the end of day 3 in Vizag and India can pretty much be certain of the fact now that they won't lose this test match. In fact, they are very much in control of it. Nick Compton is here in studio with me, 300 ahead. England have been gallant. They've tried to stay in the game with bat, with ball today, but India really hold all the aces.
Yeah, England are really behind the 8 ball at the moment, aren't they? I mean, they've tried hard. I think they've fought hard, and I've been quite impressed by their spirit at the moment. You know, they're still hitting the wicket hard. I thought some early wickets from Stuart Broad was quite encouraging. But Virat Kohli, for me, is the difference between these two teams at the moment. You know, he's playing on a different surface it seems, to everyone else. You know, the ball is turning. There's some cracks there. There's variable bounce, but he seems to be timing every ball he hits.
56 and 70 balls unbeaten right now. In fact, just read a stat before I came in that every time he's crossed 50 this year in Test cricket, he's gone on to make 150. But that's
don't tell the England change room that.
That said, 56 out of 98. You, as a fellow top order batsman, how is it that he's able to play so much better with such superior skill to everyone else on this surface?
Well, I think that says something about him as a player. I mean, let's not forget, players of his quality don't come around every day. So I think we must acknowledge that it's a great time to be watching, you know, a future Indian great batting at the moment. I think it's great to watch. I mean, even on this wicket, you know, balls that are staying low. I saw that one shot, particularly against Adil Rashid, where he went back on his crease, the ball stayed low, and he just clipped it through the leg side and it raced off for 4. And, you know, that's a delivery where as a bowler, you almost think that you've possibly got a wicket. But such is his form and his timing that that he's managed to get a boundary. And I think just seeing him walking back in there, he's not out. Rahane has made a start, which is encouraging for him. 300 runs ahead. You know, this is, as a captain, this is like, we've got it here, guys. It's just a case of how long do we bat for and when do we declare?
Yeah, because India was 17 for 2 when he came in. Yeah, you couldn't call it a crisis in the context of the game because they already had a 200-run lead. However, at that point, you were in a position from where a collapse would have meant that England's hopes would have risen. And to just not just squash them with solid play, but with actually stroke play is the making of a very special player.
Yeah, well, I know when you're in form, you know, you want to bat. You know, it's not that you want the guys before you to get out, but there's almost a sense of, right, he's out, let me get in there now. And you sort of get that feeling from Virat Kohli that he waltzes to the crease as soon as he gets out there. You know, the way that he's getting on that front foot, I mean, his drives are as crisp as I've ever seen. Yeah. And I think that's a sign of a man who wants to play, who's looking for that bad ball, and every time he gets it, he hits it for 4. And I think that, you know, the signs are pretty ominous for England.
How are you reading the pitch? I know we are all very far away from here right now, but Nick, but just watching the action unfold out there, how are you reading the pitch? Is it becoming very difficult to bat on this?
I think conditions are difficult out there. I think they're a lot more difficult than Kohli has shown, to be honest with you. And particularly looking at the surface, you can see there are a lot of cracks there. A lot of cracks for the seamers to aim at. There are a number of balls early on which went almost underneath some of the batsmen's bat, which for me as a batsman, you know, preparing to go in, as the England openers, you're sort of thinking, gee, I hope I don't get a straight ball early on that goes underneath my bat. So you start thinking about, how am I going to play on this wicket? What, you know, am I going to get further forward? You know, so you're starting to change and you're starting to think about your developments already. And I think that the pitch is turning. There are a couple of there that spun past Rahane's outside edge. So, you know, there's a certain man, Mr. Ashwin, who'll be licking his lips.
Yes, already 5-4 in the first innings for our Ashwin. But as we said earlier, there is a certain amount of resilience about this English team, something we didn't see in English teams of the past, well, way past, but English teams of the past, when they came over here, they folded up. You saw in the spell with Stuart Broad, injured, he's got some pain in the foot. However, he got rid of both the openers, he really ran in.
Yeah, he did. He had a great effort. And clearly he wanted to make a most of that first spell, you know, probably knowing that once he went off, that was probably going to stiffen up and he wouldn't have much of a second spell. But also, India would probably be a long way ahead by then. So it was great to see him give his all, because when he does, you know what a competitor he is. And that's what he does best. You know, I thought Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad early on, particularly that ball to get Pujara from Anderson, was absolutely fantastic. That was Jimmy Anderson at his best.
In fact, just looking at the little positives that India would want to draw out of this test match, besides, of course, winning and taking the series lead, is Ajinkya Rahane. He's been one of India's premier batsmen for the last 2 or 3 years, has had 3 low scores. If he gets a score here, 50, 75, something like that, that is one more step forward for India in the series.
Well, as we said, it's a 5 test match series. So, yes, you want to look at the here and now, but it's also to remember that, it's not just about, this innings. It's about the innings coming up, the test matches coming up. And every opportunity that India's batsmen, England's batsmen can get time at the wicket, can get a score behind their belt, is going to bode well for the team. You know what I mean? So there's a short-term picture, but there's also a medium and long-term picture.
180 overs now, Nick, left in this game. If you're England, you know that now victory is completely, one of the results is out of the window. It's almost impossible to think of anything miraculous also in this situation. How are you playing this on the 4th morning?
I think you get yourself back in. I think Kohli he'll be positive the way that he has been, and so will Rahane. It's the way they play. But I think they'll want to get themselves back in for at least 5 or 10 overs, and then they'll try and push on. I don't think there's any mad hurry yet to go and play lots of shots. I think if they get anything in excess of 400, I think that'll be out of England's reach.
Yes, 300 ahead already. We'll have to wait and watch how day 4 unfolds. Thank you very much. Nick Compton also joins us on Sony ESPN, on ESPN Cricket Info Match Day, along with Saurav Ganguly, where we'll have the complete analysis. But at the moment, the aces, as the old cliche goes, very much in India's hands. They are up and running in Vizag.